Hello everybody! Sheek here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing the Iron Factory 2021 Last Prophet IFEX49P, age 15 and up, and as you can tell, this is supposed to be their take on Alpha Trion. And based on the pictures, he does look really cool, and also it looks like he's a remold or retooling of their Scourge, which I do not have, and I'm not too necessarily keen on getting, but since it is definitely stylized, as Speaker had mentioned, also shout out to Speakerhead, he's given me some pointers and tips on doing some videos and stuff, and he has his own channel. Feel free to check him out if you're interested in other Transformers video and content. Anyway, Iron Factory does tend to be a little more stylized, so it's definitely not exactly, canon, not necessarily canon, but, G1 accurate. He does come with like a staff that has what looks like the Matrix molded in. I mean, it's considering that he is one of the primes, and I think one of the 13 primes, and he, so he's one of the original 13 primes. I do believe at one point, at least in the G1 continuity, kind of after the movie, I think it was like season 3, they had him being sort of like the caretaker of the Matrix before it went to Optimus. I'm not exactly sure on the details, but yeah, let's go ahead and get him opened up, other than the flap. So here we have him out, and he definitely comes off a little wizardy, in my opinion, especially with his staff, which he does have only one hand configuration that can hold it, which is this one. He does also have another one for this side, and then he has like 3 hand options or something like that. I'll show them all off. But as you can see, it is done in purple plastic with silver and blue paint along it, and it does look pretty nice. The only place I've noticed that he's actually really able to hold it without it falling out of his hand is like right up there. And let's go ahead and take a look at his other alternate hands. I don't know if I'll necessarily show them all off on this review, or as in his hands, of course. Then this looks like it's a if you have a stand, like maybe it doesn't, I don't remember it showing off in the instructions, but I do believe it's like probably, I don't know, clips on here somewhere. Anyway, but it is, if you can figure it out, it is a way to put him on a stand, which I think is kind of cool. So his other hands, like I said, there's the other one for the staff, for his alternate hand. He does have standard just closed fists, and then he also has the splayed finger hand for the other hand, and then he has what looks like gun holding hands, but he doesn't come with a gun, so if you have another gun that's compatible, it'd be able to work. So he has a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 types of hands that he can use. My favorite combo right now is to have one splayed hand and one hand holding the staff, because that just makes sense to me. But for transformation purposes, it's probably going to be a good idea to swap them out to just the standard fists. Although it is possible, it's just that gets in the way a little bit. This one not so much, but just with the splayed fingers, it does tend to get in the way a little bit. But before we get to that, let's just take a look at the detail on him. His face is very much reminiscent of Alpha Trion. It definitely looks like him. You can tell who he's supposed to be, but there is some stylistic differences. The nice shoulder pads, shoulder guards with silver and purple, or purple plastic with silver paint on them. Silver and red for his chest. The collar thing, which I don't remember if he exactly had that. It might be a little bit more of a leftover part of the sweep/scourge mold. And then I feel like these little pointy bits, I don't know, I haven't seen Alpha Trion's boots, because I don't think they really focus on his feet a whole lot. And then I also like how, because Alpha Trion did have a cape or cloak in the G1 cartoon, so these, although they look a little closer to wings, do kind of give the feeling of like a cape or a cloak on the figure, which I think is really cool. Now for articulation, his head is on a ball joint. You can look up pretty far, down a decent amount, although it is getting a little more into the transformation joints. And he can do a full 360 a little bit, but it does involve a little bit of finagling because of his beard. And also, why would you want to turn all the way around anyway, except for like transformation? Arms can go out about that far. They can pretty much do a full 360 if it wasn't for the wings back here. There is bicep swivel. A little over 90-degree bend at the elbow. And he does have wrist rotation, and it is a little bit on a ball joint, so you can get a little bit of bend at it. He does have waist swivel and ab crunch, which is nice. And then these flaps can go out, allowing him to do pretty much the full splits. His legs can go forward that far, back about that far, and there's about 90-degree bend at the knee. Thigh swivel. And there isn't really much ankle tilted. There is just a slight hint of it, but not a whole lot. And you can also do that. So he's relatively well articulated. I have the real action or whatever. It's pretty much non-transforming figure for Alpha Trion. Because to me, because he never transformed in the show. You never saw him transform. So there could have also been an assumption that he didn't transform, and whether or not he did or didn't, he never was shown on screen. So I was okay with having just the non-transforming one because it was very G1 cartoon accurate. Left him in the box, obviously, because it looks cool that way. But I was kind of like seeing this guy for a while, and I was like, he is stylized, but he is kind of cool. I wouldn't mind having a transforming version of Alpha Trion that isn't the Titans Return version, which in my opinion was meh at best because of the third lion mode. I didn't really like that mode. If they had just kept it with the spaceship mode, I would have been fine with that. Anyway, we should probably go ahead and get down to transformation. Okay, one thing, I think I had him slightly mistransformed originally, although it's always up to personal preference as well. I think his shoulders were too far up. They're supposed to be further down, but a stylistic choice. Depends if you want to have what looks like bigger shoulders. But anyway, yeah, the first step is to push up, and it says to rotate his hands like this, but I feel like personal preference, I like to have them like that because you see this back of his hands rather than, I don't know, the front of his fists. And then you want to rotate his head, but to do that you kind of bring it down and up and around, and then there's a little hole that probably wasn't there on Scourge. But then again, maybe if they gave Scourge his beard, maybe they also needed that too. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have their version of Scourge. And then you want to just pull up on his backpack and just pull that down, bring that down, and yeah. And his head came out of place. And then you can pull this up, but you don't have to do that right now, but you can do that if you want to. Get his arms situated again. Then you want to flip his toe spur thingies in. Pull his feet down, or once you open up the shin back. What's weird is you have to lift those up before you rotate them. They just don't flip out. It's weird, but it is the way they're designed. And I recently trimmed my fingernails, so yeah, having a little bit of difficulty getting on our edges. Anyway, you flip them out like that. Pull his feet, push his feet down, rotate, and then just collapse his legs in, like so. And then once they're collapsed in, you just line them up as best you can. And these flaps go back down. You might, if you have to, you lift them up out of the way a little bit. And also just make sure everything stays lined up. It can be a little bit tricky, but he is fairly simple. He is kind of like a shell former, but then again, Scourge has always kind of been, well, the mold for Scourge anyway, has always kind of been a shell former. Anyway, you finish pulling that down, and you also need to have these flipped up so that when you pull this around, this doesn't get in the way. Then you tab this right into this slot right here. Though getting it to line up can be a little bit annoying, but get that lined up, tab it into place. Same on this side, line up, tab into place. And as you can see, his feet aren't necessarily the best at wanting to stay together, but you can kind of get all just nice and squozen, and then it tends to stay for the most part. And then you close these down over that little tab to help hold everything together, and you might need to fiddle with it a little bit to get it to clip into place. There we are, nice little click, and then tabbed in. And then as I say, you may need to fiddle around with it just to get it all lined up. But that is his little spaceship mode. It's not bad. It's, like I said, it is definitely a stylized version of Scourge, and definitely, or the mold for Scourge is, and I don't know what, like I said, I don't have their version of Scourge, so maybe some of these were added for Alpha Trion, but it considering that he never came to Earth, he never had an Earth mode, so this feels like it's a plausible alt mode that he could have had. And there is no storage for his staff. He is pretty cool. If I ever have him on display with my other figures, I'll probably have him in robot mode because, I mean, it's a little flat spaceship thingy. It doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look as good as robot mode, in my opinion. Speaking of Alpha Trion, though, I really would love to get my hands on the convention exclusive Orion Pax and Alpha Trion set that has Vector Sigma, key to Vector Sigma, and all that. But it is, as far as I know, a convention exclusive. So if I manage to get it, it either means I'm a very, very lucky ducky, or I paid out through the nose for it, probably. Anyway, this has been a review of the Last Prophet from Iron Factory. And if you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. And until next time, have a good one, everyone.